joining us live can see. Okay, so we are now streaming live on YouTube, I think. Test. But my problem is I cannot get Kyle onto the call. How do we do this? Strange. Okay. So it looks like YouTube's working. So you guys are live with us. We're just getting Kyle on the call right now. He's coming on the host line. Okay, so let me see what that, I don't understand what that means. It's like, yeah, it's where do I get that host line? Does that make sense? I don't even know what that means because I thought they were all like the same link, but clearly they are not. So let's see, share, invite participants. So strange. Kyle could do it. I think Kyle can do it. I think it's not Kyle that needs the words of encouragement right now. It's me because I'm the one that's the bottleneck right now. Let's see, all panelists in it. If anybody's ever done a Zoom webinar, and I know it has the capability of adding people to speak with, but it's just set up different than webinar. No, you guys are good. Don't feel guilty about not being able to help me, but we'll get it. If we get a few minutes, I think we'll get it. We'll get there. Yeah, I just don't know what to say. Share, no. More. Invite. Oh. No. That looks like just the same invite. I'm guessing. Yeah, that's just the same invite, isn't it? Pew, pew, pew. Strange. This is very strange, guys. I appreciate you guys working through this with us. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know why this is so hard. I thought Zoom webinar would work just like Zoom meeting. So you just be able to add like a co-host or something like that very easily, but that's not the case. So now if you guys, after this though, if you guys ever have questions about Zoom webinar, you can ask me. I'll have all the answers shortly. Okay, so host attendees. All right, there we go. Maybe I figured it out now. Kyle Moore, promote to panelist. Boom, guys, we are cooking with Crisco.
Oh yeah, we're here.
That was all the lead up. That was all the prep just to get you guys revved up and ready to go.
That was funny.
Are you able to get your video?
I just tried to turn on the video, and that also is saying the host has stopped it. Zoom's putting all this. Zoom is putting all this evil on me. I'm not doing it. So I just made you a co-host. All right. Well, we're getting there. Yeah, Keena, I can't see me either. I can't turn it on. Tom is still, he's really throwing wrenches. This is so funny.
No. I think I got this one.
There.
I think I got it.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is edited through the, okay, I just saved the webinar. Okay, let's see if that works now. Any luck?
Yes, we're on. Okay. Hi, friends. Here I am.
We did it. That's live experimenting. And so I had to figure out how to run a YouTube live, and it's not easy, guys. There's a lot of things that go into it. I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos.
That's some vulnerability right there. We're all just people here making stuff together and figuring it out. But thank you guys for staying on. Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to have everybody here. This is going to be a lot of fun. We've got Tom and I were chatting a couple of weeks back about this idea and some of the things that we wanted to teach and share. And I'm so excited that it's all finally here. So for those of you who I know I've invited a lot of my audience here, and Tom's invited a lot of his audience here. So I just want to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Kyle Gray. I'm a storytelling strategist, and I have worked with lots of different entrepreneurs, startups, and coaches and helped them really communicate their value and the uniqueness in what it is that they do through storytelling. I've been able to help people use storytelling and teaching as a tool in speeches and presentations and webinars, in articles and content marketing, and in podcasts. Really just use these stories to create desire, to overcome objections and empower your audience to feel like they can really tackle their problems. And so I've been another kind of combination that I love along with storytelling is and this is something that Tom and I just get super nerdy on, which is why I was so excited to do this call, is putting things into processes. We're both very process driven. Tom is a master at this. He's great at, like, he can turn anything he's done once into a repeatable system that anybody can do. And it's something that I have a big passion for too. And I've been creating a lot of content and telling a lot of stories. And so I love building templates and frameworks around that. So we're gonna show you some storytelling tools, and then I'll share with you a simple template that you can use to start mapping out some of your stories and having it all together in a simple document so that you know what story to tell at any moment. You can have this open during a podcast, or you could have it open. It could be the outline of a talk.
Yep. And yeah, I'm excited. And you're going to be doing a screen share, right? You're going to go through the slides with us?
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm going to, well, I was just saying, I just want to point this out because you mentioned it kind of briefly. We were talking a few weeks ago. Actually, I interviewed Kyle on the podcast. So that'll be coming out soon. And it was about his new book, which we'll get to. And as well, it's tied into selling with story, right? But he showed me this template that he was using, or one of the things that he had developed around storytelling that helped, like, kind of, basically, as far as I'm concerned, kind of clarify, like, the buyer's journey, if you will. I know you have another thing on that specifically, but to me, it was like a great framework to use. So I found it really fascinating, and the examples you gave were really good. So I'm excited to dive into that. And I want to say, for everybody who's here live, use the comments here. If you're in Zoom, if you're on YouTube live right now, that's cool too. Post there. I'll have that open on another screen, and so we can answer questions as we go as well. But I'll hand the floor back to you now, Kyle, to kind of kick us off.
Of course. Yeah. So we want to do this really open-ended. We want a lot of audience interaction in here. I want to be working with you. I think if we can, we might even be able to bring some of you on the call a little bit later and work with you. Maybe I've got a few early readers in the audience right now, and maybe somebody's already been filling out the same template that we're going to work in. And so if that's you out there, let me know, or we can check that out, and I'll share a link for this template together. But let's get started with some slides. Let me present. And
yeah, make sure you can present. I probably have another setting that says that Kyle's not allowed to present.
That would be we got it. We got it.
Awesome. Okay, that looks good. Look at this. Okay. It's like we're pros now.
We're there. The worst is behind us. We made it through. All of you made it through with us. We made it through winter.
Cool.
Anyway, the problem. So coaching, consulting, and selling premium products is hard. I think we can all agree with it. I've had a challenging time figuring it out over my 5 or 6 years as an entrepreneur. Tom, I'm sure you've had some challenges here and there. It doesn't come easy, does it?
No,
not for anybody, especially at first. When you really want to kick your business off, when you really want to start getting those clients that make a big difference for you, and up your prices and really creating those premium things, it's hard to communicate your value. And for a lot of us, we have skills that are we're competing with the whole world. I consider myself a copywriter and a content marketer, and I think there's somewhere around 1 million blog posts published every day. So, like, what are you going to do in the face of, like, numbers like that? So how can we overcome that? Differentiating yourself can be difficult online, like I just said. And a lot of us, especially in the early days, when we create products, when we create services, we overstretch ourselves trying to add more value. We're not really confident in what we have to offer. And so we try to add in every single thing to make up for it, because that's gonna, then the customer will be happy. But usually that ends up overwhelming us, confusing the customer, and sometimes working against us.
Can I jump in here too real quick, Kyle? Yeah. So one thing too is, you said, I know we talking about coaching, consulting, and selling premium products, but yeah, I think that's the key too, is like the premium products. I think what we're talking about though too works for everything. Like I've used, like, I think storytelling works to sell books. I think it works to sell e-courses, lower price. So just so people are clear on that, definitely
I
coach.
think that's fair. Yeah,
and
yeah.
pretty much anything that we're going to be talking about, just FYI, in case people are curious about that.
I would say so. I would agree with that. Yeah, I think these are the storytelling definitely is one of your best tools when you are selling these high price products. But again, yeah, it can be used for almost anything, and it is. Yeah, I'll show you some examples of how to do that. I even have a good one of a podcast episode I recorded recently.
Cool.
So here's another one. People don't seem to get it on your sales calls and presentations. So I work with a lot of health coaches in my private clients, and they're all really, really smart. And so when somebody comes to them and they're like, well, I'm not feeling as good, I don't have as much energy, and they start talking all of these sciencey things that they've just spent years training in science and health, and they're like, we're going to test your tryptophanophranes and run 2 ATN2S tests, and then we're going to make sure to optimize your bramifrols, and you're going to be you're going to be taken care of with that. Yeah. Kina feels it. Yeah. So how do we communicate in a way that your audience is going to get it? How do we send them a message in their language? And this is the worst one. I hate this. I've done this. But you discount yourself. You give them you offer a lower price to make up for this lack of confidence that you've had. Yeah. No, that always just, ends up worse for everybody. You take shortcuts. You try to move faster. You try to, you don't proofread your landing pages and stuff like that. And you miss opportunities because you don't feel as confident in your process and what you have to offer. And so you don't jump in there and make it happen for you. So this is a challenging, and you lose out on competitors with less skill. This may be worse than discounting yourself. When you hear one of your clients has gone to dumb down the street just because they were posting on Facebook more or something like that.
Let me know how many of you in the chat have felt that one, that you felt like you've lost out to a competitor with less skill. I'm actually curious about that one in particular. That's tough, or not even maybe not even a specific competitor, but just feel like there are other competitors and they're getting, the clients or getting the sales or whatever it is, and you're not. Maybe is a way to think of it.
Or there's even a worse competitor in here that I'll tell a story about. We'll dive into.
Yeah.
But the worst competitor is not your competitors, but it's doing nothing. Most people will be like, well, I could buy this thing, or I could invest in this, but I could also do nothing and keep that money, and then I don't take a risk and I'm okay. And a lot of people will step away from things, or they'll be like, I'll put it off. We'll see in a week when I'm really ready for whatever the thing is. Right.
And is that specifically in the context of like content and writing and kind of like that's like the storytelling, like I'm pushing it off, like, oh, I'm not going to send out that email. I'm not going to send out that email blast, or just like procrastination in general?
I would say that's a great clarifying question. I would say in the case of maybe you're like, imagine yourself in an audience and you're hearing somebody speak and they're talking about this program that, would be a perfect fit for you. It's really going to help, but it's priced at a point that makes you feel that weird feeling in your stomach. And you're like, oh no, you're like, man, I finally got this cash. And now this guy or gal has just, promised something that's exactly higher than the price tag of what I have saved up, but it could be that big thing, but maybe I'll just wait, Right. I feel pretty comfortable with this money in my account right now. So I'm gonna do that. So
yeah, Terry said he's been there. The fear of loss is sometimes greater than the prospect for gain.
Right.
A lot of literally all the time, Terry.
This is the hugest.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that's stopping your audience from taking action.
Yeah.
Well, before we dive into the process, maybe let's do a quick example of a story that you could tell to maybe get somebody off the seats. So this is a cost of doing nothing story. It's a real story. Just happened last week. I'm experiencing it right now. So this is fresh stuff. So I went down to Moab, Utah last weekend. I just launched my book, Selling with Story, on Sunday before. It was out Monday, Tuesday, made bestseller on Amazon, and was getting some really great reviews coming in. And then I took off to the desert. Been working too hard. Time to go climb some rocks and scare the crap out of myself. So I did that. Was with a couple of old friends, and we're driving down this canyon to go climbing, and we passed this canyon called Grandstaff Canyon. And I have this flashback. A few years ago, I hiked through that canyon and got poison ivy all over my body. I didn't notice it at first, but it was like I went through the canyon hiking. 2 days later, I was doomed. Doomed. It's not, poison ivy is not fun. It's not one of those plants where it like stings you right away and you're like, wow, that's a dangerous plant. It's like you notice it 2 days later, and then it's like a whole month-long ordeal. Anyway, it was one of the worst it's not really a sickness or an injury, but one of those class of bad
experiences.
Things. Yeah, very bad experience. So anyway, we pass that canyon, flashback happens, go climb for a while. And then we're heading back after a long day of climbing. We do a great job. We climb some harder stuff than I thought, and so we're all feeling invincible. But we got a little bit of
free soloed it.
Not quite. But yeah, we all imagine that. So we've got a little bit of time for like a little hike, and I know this like water pool grotto that we can go to. So I take them back there, but it's been a wet winter, and going through this little narrow canyon with a stream, and there's lots of green growing around. And I'm looking around for poison ivy, and maybe there's stuff that kind of looks like it. I'm being real careful. We see the lake, and then we head back to the camp. A little bit later, I see a couple of blisters on my leg, and I'm like, oh, those are spider bites. Too itchy, don't worry about it. And then a couple of days later, I could have done something right there, but there was like this kind of denial. And so I decided to do nothing. And so then the spider bites got bigger and redder and nastier, and I didn't like do anything. So poison ivy is like an oil, and it just sits on your skin. So if you can wash it off, it's not going to be so bad. But if you're in the desert for 3 days and you just are in denial, then that's really bad. And especially if you know this pain. So by the time I get home, I notice another itching on kind of my calf, and I indulge myself in a little itch, and then I see kind of the rash starting to appear, and then I know, and it's already too late. It's like 2 days too late. That's the cost of doing nothing. Now I have a couple weeks where, I just kind of have this injury that I can't really go out to the gym as much because, I have to wear these like flowing kind of Thailand pants. Tom and I met in Thailand. I have to wear the fisherman pants because I can't like wear, I can't wear normal pants because it's very uncomfortable. Shorts are fine, but when I'm walking around in shorts around other people, it frightens them right now. So this is why you cannot allow your audience to do nothing, because if you don't take action, it's not just that you're not just going to step away from, the problem and be the same. You're missing out on something. There's an opportunity cost here. And so that was just a lighthearted story, from my own past. But if you know kind of the moral you want to teach, which we said we wanted a cost of doing nothing story, then you know where to place, what kind of story you can create. And you can tell a story, and it didn't have to be necessarily about marketing, and it doesn't have to be a huge epic adventure. But if you just can bring them to the moral that you want to teach, and then make your point about some people like you out there are just like I was, in denial about poison ivy. You need to take action and make sure that you ensure the best future for yourself.
And of course, it was pretty lighthearted. I guess you could turn it into Requiem for a Dream style if you ended with an amputation, and maybe that's, we have to, there's
Who
some,
knows? It's an open-ended story. Yeah. I'll give you guys an update.
Right.
So far, but
No,
but who
well, of
knows?
course we hope that nothing like that happens. But what's interesting is I think it sounds like then also when it comes to story, this is something I literally have been trying to work out like the last 3 or 4 years, guys. I write a lot of emails, I write a lot of blog posts. I know I always if I have something to share, I know I could just share it. It's like, oh, hey, here's this link, join. But it's like nobody would read those emails. So you actually people need story. People think in story. And what I've tried to figure out is like, what is that thing? What's like that 80-20 principle of trying to get like the story right quickly so I can segue into what I really want to say. But so people get hooked and they start reading and they go. And so it makes it a better learning experience. Because if I just said, hey, here's this live YouTube live with Kyle Gray we're doing. Maybe many of you, obviously you guys who are in the room and super awesome would be joining that link no matter what. But then there's gonna be other people who might ignore it because they're just, I don't know, maybe it gets to a pitch too soon. Like it seems like it's like, oh, YouTube live, not for me. But if it's like I start with a hook and tell the story about something that's kind of captivating and they read through the whole thing, there's a moral of it, and then I tie it into selling a story, that makes more sense. So the response has been way better with something like that. But I think what's interesting is it doesn't have to be like a one for one. Like that story, it's not like you're like, I guess you hypothetically could be selling something to cure whatever that ailment. But otherwise, it's a story that actually is not related to what we're talking about directly. It's an indirect relationship, but you tied it in, and those are the best. Those are the most interesting insights and stories that you can tell.
And you want to have a story, especially when you're on stage or in front of people, or even on a webinar and live engaging like this. Some good stories are like, again, they don't have to be like, I jumped out of a burning building and saved a baby and, then finished the Boston Marathon kind of stories. It can be very, very simple. It can be like, well, I promised my dad that I would get up to go on a hike for sunrise with him on the day of his retirement. And when that day came around, it was kind of still early in the spring, wasn't very light out, and it was snowing a little bit, so it was really cold. And it was everything I could do not to hit snooze and not to just go back to sleep, because the sun, it takes a while to rise in the. But you know what? I went for it and I did it. And the moment I had with my father, just watching that sunrise, it's something I'll never forget. And so that's a story that you can say, like, I didn't want to take action, but then I did, and all the better for it, which is a similar kind of teaching point that you would want to make. And so that story, again, is very simple, but somebody could come up to you and be like, yeah, I hung out with my dad like that. Or I remember a sunrise, trying to wake up for the sunrise too. And it was, you should see it in Florida. It's really early, or something like that.
I kind of want to get into how you construct something. If you have an idea of something that you want to share, because this is the problem or the challenge that I feel like I've come up to. It's like, okay, this is the thing I want to share. Or sometimes like I have an idea of like, oh, this is an interesting kind of anecdote that I'd love to share. But I'm like, but then the thing that would just be like a story or the hook. But then when I'm like getting to the thing that I'd be like offering, whether it's a sale or not, but there's some sort of call to action. I'm like, do I go from the anecdote or the story to that? Obviously, probably not. Mostly I go from that, but I want to figure out a story that can work. So it's interesting kind of iterative process. Maybe, I don't know if you were going to break this down here in the next couple slides.
Yeah. This is an excellent setup. So what we're going to work on is the proprietary process, and this is a simple way that you can set up your teaching points. You can talk about what you do and the results you get, and it puts your storytelling on rails. So it's very simple, very predictable. This can be the outline for your talk or your webinar. This can be your elevator pitch. It can be your podcast interview. It can do all of it's the foundation. Whenever somebody comes and works with me as a coaching client or a consulting client, we always go through and create this process first, because it's how I help people build their talks or their webinars or their content strategies. So anyway, before we go into this, like, what is a proprietary process? And there's kind of a feeling that the proprietary process creates, an emotional feeling. And if you go back to your childhood, everybody out there, and you think about somebody really special in your life, maybe it was a grandma, and she cooked a special dish, and for the sake of simplicity, we'll call it lasagna. This lasagna was delicious. It was the thing you always look forward to when she came over. And but this lasagna ruined it for you in the long run, because you can't just go to a restaurant or try and cook your own lasagna anymore, because it tastes hollow compared to grandma's lasagna. But grandma didn't use any special ingredients in her lasagna. It was that unique emotional connection with her that made it special. So creating a proprietary process is what would create this grandma's lasagna effect, this desire that you feel in your business and for what you do. And so even if dozens of other people are selling lasagna, you have your grandma's lasagna. And so it makes you unique, stands out. It empowers you. It makes it easier for you to get clients, because you know, again, how to tell a story. You have a process to speak to. You know what teaching points you need to speak to and what beliefs you need to overcome. And you have stories ready for all of them. You can charge higher prices, which is way better than discounting yourself. And like I've said, it makes presenting easier and more effective. So what makes a good process? First, you want to start with the key result you get. You always think about, you start with the end in mind. So I recommend most people start with like an overall process for like your flagship offer. If somebody signs up for your main offer for your business, what are you going to walk them through? So what's the key result of your main offer? What are you getting for people? So once we really hone in on this, and this is more challenging than you might think, really honing in on that result.
I was just gonna say, it's not harder than I think. I'm like, I think this is the hardest thing, but one of the hardest things. It's one of those things like it's the nuance that matters. Sometimes I find it really difficult to do it internally for myself, but when I'm working with somebody else, I feel like that is much easier to help with somebody else, and vice versa. When somebody helps me with my stuff, I don't know. It doesn't matter how removed you can, or how detached you can be from what you do. It's really hard, I think, to create like this kind of proprietary process or marketing or sales message without some kind of third party giving you some.
Even me, I have the same challenges in my own business and my own work, and I invest in people like me to help reflect these things to me, because I can't see them as easily in my own world. But for like an example of a key result, here's something just for everybody out there to kind of sink their teeth into a little bit. If you were promising a weight loss program, you might say, I'll help you lose that last 10 pounds. And that makes sense, or you could communicate like a feeling and an experience and result, like, I'm going to get you to fit into those jeans that you had when you were in college again, or something like that. And then people are like, you can picture yourself feeling that, experiencing that, and knowing that. And it doesn't have, when you say something like that, it doesn't have anything to do with whatever diet or exercise or the things that have to happen to get the result. You're just talking about that feeling of victory that you can experience and imagine and close your eyes and just picture. That's the kind of result we're talking about here. So once you get that, then we write out 3 to 5 steps to get them there. What are the key things you need to teach, the core milestones you need to arrive at, the beliefs you need to overcome to get them to this key result? Why 3 to 5? What if I have a 10-step process? What if I have 12? So I like 3 to 5 steps because it's very simple. It's easy to remember. If you get anywhere above 5 or 6, the brain is really good at remembering things of 3s, things of 4s, things of 5s still get a little too much, to be honest with you. And 6 and 7 and plus, if you start like teaching or talking about, first we do this, then we do this, they'll be like, oh, stop, please.
I was watching the new season of The Bachelorette, and one of the guys was like trying to make his pitch. He's like, I got these 5 C's. And he started listening. I told Courtney, I was like, that's too many C's. She's not going to remember how many C's. She's not going to remember him. He's going to lose the season now. That's it. He's not going to be the Bachelor or whatever it is.
And do we know? Did he make it?
Oh, no, this is the start. This is episode 1. But I was like, that's way too many C's, man. Nobody can remember 5 C's.
I bet he'll make it. He'll make it a few episodes, right? But yeah,
because he's trying, because he's putting some storytelling to work.
He's going to double down on the 5 C's, though.
Right.
Yeah. Coffee's just finished up, and we are cracking open the raspberry bubbly sparkling water.
Do it.
Okay. So anyway, 3 to 5 steps. 5 C's, too many C's. Connect your steps with key stories. I'm going to give you a checklist to work through some key stories. But again, you want to know on these key steps, the last step of your process, which might be close to when you are also offering a product or service. You might want to have a story, like a cost of doing nothing story, ready in there. But I'll show you. And then when we are teaching these steps, so when we are talking about these steps, when we are sharing what we do online, on stage, and in webinars, I want you to remember how to teach to sell. So I think a bad habit, again, a lot of the, again, with health coaches are very smart, intelligent people, very process-driven people like us. When we are teaching, we like to give very specific, like step 1, do this, step 2, do this. We give out all the details and we give them all the goods. And we walk them through that whole thing. And so we do that in our webinars. We do that in our articles and things like that. And we give them the step-by-step, but it doesn't, and they absorb it. But they don't feel like they can work with us anymore. They feel like, well, I've gotten what I need to know. Thank you guys. And they'll step away. But and another kind of the other end of the spectrum is just being like, not teaching them anything, not giving them any value, and just kind of dangling like, you want this, it's going to give you this result you want, and kind of being pushy salesy. So what is the balance in the middle? And I think instead of teaching how to do things, here is how you're going to lose that last 10 pounds. Here is how you're going to grow your email list to 10,000. Here's how you're going to get that first book published. You speak to core beliefs that they have about why they can or can't do what they want to do. So instead of, here's why you should be publishing a book and what you need to do to get it published, and you give them highlights and speak to their beliefs and their reality about what's possible. Give them a little bit of information, like, here's one easy step. Remember that, you can just automatically, or you can cut out this one food and start and be on the fast track to losing weight quickly. You want to give them a little bit of information, but you just want to be speaking to beliefs and leaving them feeling empowered that I can solve this problem, not necessarily giving them all the information.
If I can ask a question there, is this kind of like, instead of teaching the how, you're teaching like the what and the why? Is that a way to think about it?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's kind of what I try to remind myself to do. Yeah. Sometimes I get into sometimes I spiral into the how, and I get so detailed, and then it comes out like my virtual summit blog post. It's like, this will take, I have a little this counter that says how long it's going to take to read. It's like 66 minutes to read. It's like a book. It's like a short book. But that's so I like that. It's the what and the why is what I understood from that idea. But maybe we can go into examples too that'll help some people here as well.
Exactly. Cool. But yeah, and just to anybody out there, I mean, I fully endorse super epic long form blog posts.
Yeah.
But if you were
in their place, right? In their
place.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody who's ready to read that is going to love it. But if you just like get walked up to somebody at a conference and they were like, hey, Tom, what do you do? And you just
give me 66 minutes of your time.
Yeah. That's what most people do though, or they do things like that, and you've seen it and you've felt it. Like anybody who's been to a live event and met somebody and they're just start going, or you can see it in other people's faces when you start doing it, and but now you're like halfway through talking and you're like, should I just be like, okay, I can tell you're bored, let's just stop. But that's kind of weird too, right? So you don't want to do that. Anyway, let me give you a couple of example steps, and then we'll go through a couple of live processes.
Cool. And then maybe we can actually have some people throw in examples.
I would love that.
But what would be a good way, just so people can start thinking about it? What would you want them to share with you for us to do some maybe live examples, or to mess around with some stuff with the audience here to help them out?
I would love to, if you've got a process, you can share the name of your process and a result, and maybe just a couple of bullets in there. And we can speak to that on the chat, or I'm sure if somebody has a really good one that we want to speak into live, we'll bring them live on the call and give them some coaching. Okay. So here's some really good steps. This is a great way to just plug yourself in with a process. So you need a step 1. This is usually an onboarding or discovery This can be, this is what you need to do to learn everything you need to know to get the result for your client. Step 2 is build. You start building the thing, you start taking the information, and you're taking action based on that. And then 3, you have the tool built, you take them action, it's implemented, and they're getting the result. So 1, 2, and 3. So you can plug those into a lot of things. I'll show you what it looks like for me. So this is the One Clear Path to Sales. This is my coaching and consulting program. This is what I work with people on, and this is also what my new book, Selling with Story, is all built around. So what we do is we get clear on their one clear message. We figure out that one message that they need to hear that resonates with where they are in their journey, their understanding of what's going on and what they really want. Next, we craft a lesson. This could be a presentation, a webinar, long form content. We craft a lesson that empowers their audience to feel like they can overcome this challenge. They can do this. They want to take action and build desire. And then at the end of our lesson, following our lesson, we present them with one clear offer. That's the ideal next step to what they're doing. It's a very simple system. It's the one clear path to sales. A lot of the people that I work with, again, they want to be making an impact. They want to be fulfilling work. They want to be working with their clients. They don't want to be worried about sales and marketing and thinking about all these things. So if we can just give them this one simple path, if you understand that message, you can teach them that lesson, and you have it put together in a nice system that presents it to them as the ideal next step, then you've got a system that can be a scalable business right there. So let's take a look at another one. This is a company I work with as well. It's called Advance Your Reach. This is a little piece of the Unstoppable Stage campaign. Unstoppable Stage campaign, that is a great name. That speaks to a result, right? We can think about probably what this means. Like we can tell this is getting us on more stages. So they show a slide like this when they're presenting, which shows a nice flow chart. And people go crazy when they show, like, we have this process to get these results. Now, let me tell you another couple of things about why this process is so great. So the founder of this company, Pete Vargas, worked for 12, 13 years in a nonprofit developing this process for speakers, but he wasn't speaking himself. Only about 3 years ago did he start using this process himself to start speaking. He was sharing it from the stage and now has started hosting workshops teaching this process, where people pay a lot of money to hang out for 2 days to learn this process. But the process is so good now, and it's so well defined and so figured out that Pete doesn't even have to show up to the workshops anymore. He's hired people like me and many other brilliant people to teach and facilitate the workshops, because the process for how to get results has gotten so clear that other people can do it. You can speak to the process. It was Pete's invention, but it's grown beyond him. It's scaled beyond him. And it makes immediate sense when you're speaking about it on stage. And this is how it's such a powerful marketing and sales tool. And this is why it's so important to build a process around your flagship offer. So let's take a look at another brilliant process. This is a process is responsible for creating tens of thousands of dollars each month for the Health Business Accelerator program. So the perfect client pipeline is the process that Yuri Elkaim teaches in the Health Business Accelerator. It's a 6 to 12 month coaching program, and it helps them put together a great Facebook ad that gets registrations for a webinar, that gets you to an application and to a call to enroll more people. So you attract your perfect high-paying clients, allowing you to make more money, enjoy more free time. Really simple, just one really paragraph here that speaks to these results. And these steps, though they aren't very whimsical, are very clear. Oh, it's so easy, right? People can see the result. The name is very clear. And this is also a process that has allowed Yuri to scale his teaching beyond himself. So here is one of Tom's. This one has a few extra steps, but it is also really, really powerful. The open loop product development framework. So this is one of his long form articles that I love. Everything on Tom Mork's blog, it's something I review often because there's amazing stuff on there. But he just writes it out, the first 10, first 100, first 10, 100 clients to do it, to buy your product, what's the real problem or fake problem, refine and define. And he gives you these simple steps that you can go through. Although I don't think you currently coach on this. This could be, you could build a workshop around this tomorrow, right? You could host a mastermind in Aspen and be like, hey, we're all going to develop a new product mastermind. It's a 3-day weekend and we're just going to make you your next $10,000 product. Why don't you come on and join me? We should do that. That sounds fun.
Let's do it. Maybe we do it in Moab.
Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
I know a good spot.
Perfect.
Yeah. 3 days is all you need. So we've gone through a couple of examples, and now I want to show you how you can create key stories, or the key stories that you need to have for each step in your process.
And let me ask this real quick for those who are listening. Does all this make sense so far? Like structurally, that all makes sense, right? The kind of broad level overview. Now we're going to zoom in, and I like this piece too. Like I think that's a good, just even what you just taught right there. So I think somebody could let that simmer for days and work with it, But so we are going to get to more stuff here. I really like this too. It's how you're integrating stories into every stage of the sales funnel, if that makes sense. And Terry said, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Keep rocking and rolling. I think we're doing good.
Awesome. And thank you everybody who's chiming in, who's sharing in the chat box. Really appreciate you. And if you have questions, like I'm here for you the whole time. We're live because we want to engage. So yeah, feel free to chime in with everything in here. Okay, so key stories you can have for each step. So now that we've got our 3 steps or our 5 steps for our process figured out, we want to make sure that we have a couple of stories prepared for each one. We're not going to use all of these stories all of the time. But once you know your stories and you kind of have them mapped out and you're comfortable with them, then they're just going to naturally flow off your tongue. You're going to be able to say like, oh, this person, is worried about the price point of the investment, but I have a perfect story for him. But let's take a look at some of these stories. So the first one is something you're saying that nobody else is saying. So this is a really, really important one to have. If you have a somewhat controversial or a contrarian point, and I think that you should be controversial or contrarian in some area. You should have a belief that about something that is clear, that is passionate, that is inspired, and that other people can immediately recognize. So you want to have something like that. Another great one is a success story of a client who used this step. Having client success stories inside of your teaching is very, very powerful. This is almost like a testimonial, but I'll tell you the difference between this and a testimonial is this happens when you're telling stories and teaching people something. And a testimonial usually happens after you pitch your product and you say, this is my product. Look at this client who's been so successful with it. So the difference in your audience is when you're teaching and you're telling a client success story, they're learning, they're listening, they're taking notes. After you pitch your product, they're skeptical, they're critical, and they're mistrusting. So if you can start saying like, hey, I have this, my client went through my One Clear Path to Sales program, Maureen, and we put together an amazing webinar for her that she was able to bring on a few high ticket clients in just a few weeks and bring in, a new 6-figure revenue to her business. And here's how we did it. Just by teaching something like that and just saying something, a little short thing. It doesn't have to be more than a sentence. And then just having a big teaching point around going into your teaching point can really enhance your stories. Stu McLaren is the best at that. Just watch any video by Stu McLaren. He does it every time. And you don't even notice until you've seen this video. Here's a way to create urgency. This is a cost of doing nothing story right here. We already know that one, but there's lots of other ways. So of course, there's the most basic digital marketing. This is only available for $9.99 until the end of the week. So make sure to take action. That's kind of an artificial-ish urgency. But there's also it's really good if you can create that get that external urgency. So a CPA tax planner can be like, well, we have a limited window of opportunity until, April 15th when tax season is over. Or if there is, maybe I'm sure a real estate agent would have the same way. There's other people wanting to bid on this thing. So, you only have so much time. So you really want to create that, I need to take action now. A quick win. We talked about this a little bit. Here's one quick step that you can use to change your life right away. Do you have any quick wins, Tom, when you're teaching?
No, but see, I'm still working through these things. I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I do. If somebody's here has been reading me for a while, let me know if I.
You definitely have the deep wins.
I know I do, but but this is what's so great about this is I'm like, it shows me, because I was just thinking to myself, because what was it? You said on a way to create urgency, there was a way you described it. I was just trying to write it down on my notes. You had a message or a thing that you used to describe the way to create urgency. It was something like, what happens if you don't buy now, or something like that. How did you describe that piece?
The cost of doing nothing?
Cost of doing nothing. It's like, I don't know if I do the cost of doing nothing either, like in my stories, the cost of doing nothing. And I don't know if I have a quick win. So now I got to take it back because I'm like, my stuff is a lot deeper, but maybe give us some examples of quick wins too, especially for people who are doing like maybe more complex stuff.
Yeah. So here's a great one. So a great way to start stories is to start your story in the middle of a conflict. You see most action movies, they don't start with like somebody waking up, sleeping in a bed real relaxed, and then they drink. Some of them maybe do. But most of the time, it's somebody like the first scene is like this guy, somebody's running, there's explosions happening right now when he jumps off the cliff, and then it cuts and it's like 2 years earlier or something. And you're like, what happened there? So if you can tell a story like that.
Every episode of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. So it gets you hooked like that. And so you can start your stories in the middle of the conflict. Like, I heard the glass breaking in the kitchen downstairs. And you're like, what happened there? Oh my goodness. I am intrigued. So telling a story like that, or just giving them that little piece of information, that's a quick win right there. Now you feel like, wow, I can tell better stories. I just said like, hey, you just got to start your story in the middle of a conflict. So having just that little bit of information, and now you're like, wow, I'm a better storyteller. I feel stronger. So I'll give you another example of why these are so important. So all of us as entrepreneurs out there, I'm not sure how many problems everybody has out there, or if we're keeping track, but I'd say there's at least 99. And how do we choose which problem to solve? The first one is the problem that's the most painful. If it's something like, oh, well, my hair is literally on fire right now, so I can't fix my email, autoresponder because my hair is on fire. I'm not going to worry about that one. Or, ones that have a really big upside. If I fix this, piece of my software, I can make another, $5,000 a month or something. If I just fix this one glitch, let's fix that. Or finally, it's the problem that you feel most empowered to solve. So Tom, I know you're a homeowner. You've been building things and redoing things, and you do cool stuff all the time. That's awesome. I really admire that. I'm good at creating stuff too. I'm good at creating videos and podcasts and books. But as soon as like one of these light sockets goes out, or I have to, saw something or hammer something, or there's electricity, no way. I'm so bad at that. I'll go weeks without solving like some silly problem like that because I don't know anything about that. But I can fix something on my computer really fast. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
So when you give them this quick win, it moves them a little bit from the, I have no idea how to do that, to, oh, I can do that. And so by empowering them with those little bits of information while you're teaching, they become more interested in solving that problem.
This is really good. This has got my wheels spinning. No, keep. I don't want to interject. This is really good stuff. Keep rocking and rolling.
So, and again, you want to have something for beginners or experts. Maybe in each teaching point, maybe you know who your audience is, and maybe you're in an expert audience and you're prepared with that. But I think mixing a beginner point and an expert point in, between all of your teaching content, or all between each point in your story, because you want a beginner to feel included. You want to have good information for them to feel like, wow, this program's for me. But if you only talk about basic stuff throughout your whole process and throughout your whole teaching, then experts in there are going to be like, well, they don't have the thing for me. They're just teaching the basic stuff. I'm way more advanced than that. So if you can create information that serves the full spectrum of your target audience's skills and understanding, then it's going to make it feel like it's for them.
Do you try to keep those, I guess from a storytelling perspective, do you try to keep like the stuff for beginners kind of encapsulated in one story, and then maybe the stuff for the expert encapsulated in another, or in this, if I'm trying to, because I think of this, by the way, through, if I was like writing emails about it or something like that, which may or may not be how you're thinking of this, or even blog posts. Well,
that's
I want
great.
to go a little more in depth, but like if I was writing an email and I've got a point in there for beginners, am I trying to also have a point in there for experts, or do I want to do a beginners?
Yeah. So you do emails where it's like you kind of open with the story and then you're like, I've got 3 points to make. 1, you got to do this. 2, you got to do that. 3, you got to do that. So point 1 could be the beginner. You've always got to make sure you've got your foundation. Number 2, once your foundation's good, here's this advanced move that you need to have. And 3, everybody needs to have this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just going to write it down. That's good.
Cool. Okay. And again, a lot of this is encapsulated in my book. Selling with Story just came out last week. Just wanted to mention that. And you can learn more about this at sellingwithstory.co. And we are actually going to dive into the proprietary process template. How do we capture all of this information in a simple document and have it in our pocket so we're always ready? This is what this template's about. This template is a resource included in the Selling with Story, so you can download this for free when you link to Selling with Story. But anyway, so when I start with this, I'll start with these possible desired outcomes. Sorry, I'm running all over the place. There we go. So again, when we're thinking about the key results, again, you might just brainstorm the lose 10 pounds, fit into those skinny jeans again, feel like you did when you were in college. Love the way you look naked, something like that. And then you can kind of brainstorm and be like, okay, this is the most desirable thing. So once you have that picked out, you've got your name. So you got the key result, outcome of your process, the name of your process, and how you can explain your process so it's easy to understand right away. So we write all of these things down in here. Very simple stuff. You make sure you're clear on all these points. And this is something that we work on. The book helps you give a lot of different mental frameworks and exercises to fill this out. We got the success path. These are those 3 to 5 key points. In this template, it's really easy to just add an extra column if you need a step. But step 1, and I usually like to be able to, if you can encapsulate your teaching points in a quick sentence. Step 1, you got to get clear on your message. Step 2, you got to have a powerful lesson that empowers your audience and builds desire for the solution. Step 3, you put it on with one clear offer. So you want to have just simple little teaching points and sub results inside of each of those. And then finally, here's the key story checklist. So I have examples of all of the different stories in here that I mentioned, and then examples of how you would say those stories in little brackets. And so we've got these for concrete step 1, concrete step 2, concrete step 3. So you can add more of these. So this is the whole process template. So it's very easy to start going through, building out your process and creating this. This is also great. You can share this with your team and be like, here, this is how we do what we do. This is how we get our results. This is what you need to teach. And again, this is the foundation for all of your marketing, all of your outreach, all of your storytelling. And so that is most of the template I have in here. So we can dig in, we can explore a little bit more if we can take some questions. But if not, you can dig into more storytelling information like this. I've got tons of quick wins, tons of frameworks, tons of strategies in Selling with Story. It's available on Amazon and Kindle and in paperback. And yeah,
I'm gonna recommend people pick it up. I don't have my paperback copy yet, but I will. I think it's coming soon, right? Is that ready?
I got it. I got them right. Let me grab one.
Okay. Well, you gotta send him. Well, he doesn't have his headphones in. Just gonna tell him he has to mail me one. What do you guys think of this so far? Was this good? Was this useful? Yeah, Kyle was just saying I gotta get a copy of that, or I'll just buy it on Amazon. No big deal.
For
Yeah, that looks good.
But it does look good. It took a while. The process for getting this book published this time was way harder. It was hard to get the cover figured, and there was a bunch of little kind of issues leading right up to it. But it's like, oh, it feels so good to hold it in your hands.
Well, that's all right. Well, I'll be publishing your next book in a year or two. Once you take a break, and we'll get back to it. But I love the brand. What you got going with the story engine, selling with story. Like, they look consistent. You got a good brand going, man. So that's good.
I'm loving it. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Totally.
It's been something. Again, it's been laid brick by brick.
Yeah, man.
Figured out slowly over time, creating content, engaging with people.
Just so you guys know, I'm like, Kyle and I, we met when I was traveling around the world after I got out of the army. I think some of you were following me way back then. And Courtney and I, we went to Southeast Asia, went to Thailand, and Kyle was Courtney was doing a yoga teacher training in Koh Phangan. And we did like a little bit of an island hop, I think, to connect with you or something like that. Or no, it was on the same island, but it was
we were just kind of coincidentally on the same island in the middle of,
Yeah, it was so funny. Yeah. It was like, but where we were was super secluded, so you had to take a boat in and out of it, kind of. So we took a boat, and that's where we met up. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Working together since, but Kyle got to start writing. He is a writer. He's writing content, and he helped grow the WP Curve blog, which was co-founded by Dan Norris, who wrote the 7-Day Startup, and that's kind of how we connected too, because I worked on that project as well. Well, he was one of the people that kind of grew that platform from a content perspective, and they ended up selling for millions of dollars. And content was a big play. Like, Dan admits it. I know you saw that. That was like one of their big. There was a big lead gen strategies. Was a blog that actually generated sales and recurring revenue. So this stuff is like legit, and it's useful for everything that you're selling.
Yeah. Hey, Terry just put in a question. I want to answer that. Do you have a format where people can work through the selling with story process in a group setting and face-to-face? Excellent question. These are actually the things that I am working on right now. I want to get this book out in front of people and start having conversations with readers and seeing what people want. But I'm thinking about having lots of group trainings similar to this one, where it's a smaller group, but we're bringing more people on live. We're working through our processes together. We're working through a lot of the different content in the book together. So I am planning some one-off trainings where we would take maybe a half day and we're all on a Zoom call together. There's a possibility for a membership site and other workshops in person. So,
well, we got to talk about those, Kyle, because I think I might want to team up with you on these things. If there's an opportunity, maybe we could play around with that, because
I would love that. There's a couple of other people who have just reached out, interested in partnering.
Forget them.
Ways. Yeah. Well, there's plenty of workshops to be had.
Exactly.
I would love to meet you in person, Terry. I would love to continue this conversation. If anybody out there is on this call and downloads the book and starts filling out the process, please. Book easy to find on Amazon. There's also this weird thing happening right now. You guys can go to Amazon and tell me if it's still true or not.
I'll do it right now.
It's my book appears to be, the title is Bluetooth Headphones on Amazon.
That's an interesting hack.
Yes. It's still there. It's still Bluetooth headphones. I am outraged at Amazon.
And they just won't update it for you?
I messaged them at the beginning of this week, and they're like, we've got our technical team working on it. It'll take 4 to 5 business days. And I'm like, why?
How did that possibly happen?
I have no idea. I look on the back end of my site, and it's...
What sucks about that is you want to take a screenshot because it says new release, but then it says Bluetooth headphones.
Right? What am I gonna do? I'm sure people are like not finding it and are being confused.
You're crushing it though, because you're still at 16,000, even though the title of your book is Bluetooth headphones.
Right? So that's good news. Yeah. Yeah. It also downloads as that. Oh. That's the worst thing I've heard.
It should update. It should update
Always
when they fix it.
it'll update.
They usually fix the. I've experienced stuff not that extreme.
Oh man,
But,
that is so bad. Thank you for telling me that, Susan. I'm getting on the customer support email right after this.
Bluetooth headphones.
That is funny. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the keyword we're all looking for. There's lots of search traffic for Bluetooth headphones. This will be my way to make it to.
Yeah,
I'll top Ryan Levesque. Yeah,
you're so good at selling a story. You don't even need to have the title of the book that you're selling.
You just need just the product that everybody wants.
You know how to hook people. Bluetooth headphones. Everybody wants Bluetooth headphones.
Exactly. Yeah.
So actually, can we go back to one of the slides?
Absolutely.
I have a hard cutoff, guys, at that half an hour past. By the way, that might be much longer than you want to go, Kyle. So
that's fine.
How much time do you have? Okay. So let's plan to do maybe another 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to base it on questions and feedback here from the group. Terry, everybody else has been talking. I wanted to go to one of those slides. Yeah, keep going to when you get to like the template. Oh, actually right here. Or go, let's see, this is good. Back one. Okay, back one, sorry.
Oh, maybe down. Maybe it's this one.
Yeah. Okay, so this is okay. Can you give an example of this, or can we riff on?
Yeah, let's riff on one. Let's make one up. I'm gonna change my share to the editable version.
Cool.
So just start making stuff.
Awesome.
So this is what it's all about, people.
Yep.
Okay.
This is what Bluetooth headphones is all about.
Bluetooth headphones. Buy them today. ...
I like that has the ... in there too.
Why? I know, it's just like a little insult to injury with the ...
I think it's hilarious. It's all right. Obviously, you're doing fine in spite of that. They'll get it fixed. It's all good.
Yeah, I'll use
that in my email about it this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to ask them, hey, you guys need to promote me to the Amazon email list because
this is unacceptable. It's intolerable, and they owe you.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's think of let's put in teaching steps for one of your processes. So you've got the what's your main one? The launch to scale method.
Yeah, so I've launched a profit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's come up with a couple of steps for launch to profit.
Okay. So yeah. Unless there's specific things you'd want to ask me to facilitate that, because I'm also open to the idea of like I think there's a disconnect between I don't feel 100% about how I'm positioning what I do even. Okay. So I'm open to adjusting even the title of that, the way I frame that.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So lead me through this. How would I do this?
All right. So we'll start up here. So we've got launch to profit, right? Or so you launch
profitable launch.
Launch a profitable product.
Mm-hmm.
Launch huge email list.
Mm-hmm.
Fill your coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
So I still like launch a profitable product.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's see, like launch to be profitable on day one. So that might be a little bit more of a like a startup perspective instead of maybe a individual coach.
Yep.
Anyway, forgive the typos.
Yeah, just roll with it. Who cares? People get it. We're talking through it.
Well, we'll go this. The desirability skill. I like profitable product. Oops. So maybe on this one, launch profitable on day one. That's not as important to me. I've got some money. I do want a huge email list, but I want money more. And fill my coaching program. Well, I'm not really coaching. So we'll go with launch a profitable product. Okay. So, we launch. And maybe, so we can have the name of our process be, so I still like the launch to profit method or,
or system, something like that. We can play around with that. That's fine. Just launch the profit system or something like that.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I'm only taking up the time here because you guys are all being quiet, sitting back. But if you guys want to jump in here with your own ideas and topics, I'd love to.
We're ready. Yeah.
Okay. How can you explain your process so it's easy to understand right away?
So sometimes this is like so again, like in this example, we have a little bit of an extra bonus in here. In 90 days or less, we'll have a best-selling book published in 90 days or less. So that adds in this extra element of time. It adds in a little twist. You could also say, we're going to launch your product profitably without any need for social media.
I like that.
So you add in a little, so yeah, or how about, we'll help you launch a profitable product even if you don't have a big email list.
Mm-hmm. So something like that. So the idea, it's like, I guess if I look at that and I'm trying to, in my head, break it down so I could use it again, like the actual.
So you're adding in a little extra flavor. And this usually has to do with how well you know and understand your audience.
Yeah.
So again, if your target audience, or maybe they're first early stage entrepreneurs and they have great product ideas, but they just don't have the list yet, then you could use this. Or you could say, if maybe they already have big email lists and maybe they're looking with affiliates, launch a profitable product without losing all your cash to affiliates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, so ways you could do it is like, with that little, like like in a special way, in a unique way, time bound or results driven, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Time bound, results driven. What's that little twist that you can add that this is the special part that I bring in that makes what I do different. And again, it makes it easier to visualize the process.
Cool.
So now in the success path, we might be step one, assess so it could be know the market. This isn't a very results driven one. So maybe how can we say,
I call it define your long tail, or find your long tail niche.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's actually so convoluted that it only makes sense to me because I've been thinking about it and writing about it for a while.
Well, tell me more about it.
So long tail is like, conceptually, long tail was established by I don't know, I forget the author's name, but from Wired Magazine wrote a book about it. But it's conceptually, it's like, you look at a platform like Amazon, it sells everything. And that's how it beats out like box stores, because there's limited space on shelves. But with the internet, there's a long tail. It means you can search a niche within a niche within a niche. You can find the most obscure thing ever, and it's going to be being sold online. So what I'm suggesting is that not the typical approach to the long tail is like, you have to be the platform that allows you to sell everything, and that's how you capture the long tail. I'm saying forget that. Be one of those long tail offers and dominate that niche market, right? So it's kind of a niche market thing, but it's based on the long tail. So people will be searching something else. If that makes sense. I'll just pause there. Does that make sense? It's like find your niche space,
find your space to dominate.
Yep.
This is like,
there you go.
Like it gets, now we've gotten, because the long tail, like if we said long tail to some people will get it. Some people will be like, that's some kind of keyword thing. I don't understand. And then, but if you're like, find your space to dominate, we're going to figure out which space that you can dominate, that you can make sure that you are the authority here. And once we, increase, you can expand your empire from here, but we've got to find that place where we nail it in this launch. And as soon as we do that, then I know that we can get these good results for you. Step two.
Okay. So let me think. Actually, I should just pull up what we do. Let me just pull up this real quick. I'll tell you what I actually have for this.
Probably make cool stuff.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think that comes a little bit later. Let me see here. Sorry, off the top of my head, I just realized as I'm kind of getting into this, rethinking how I want to rework it. So the way I have it broken down was, phase one. So discover your long tail niche market, but I like find your space to dominate is so much better. So I'll be updating that. Phase 2, create your offer stack. So again, that's obscure. It makes no sense. But the idea being it's an offer stack is how do you make a lot more money selling the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so yeah, create an offer or yes. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cause it's like find your space to dominate. Yeah.
Maximize your profit channel.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we get into this niche. We know where we're going to dominate. And thank you, Terry, for your suggestion. I also loved hers, which was find, dominate, and crush your niche market. Awesome. Awesome suggestion there. Equally as good, I would say. Maximize your profit channel. So we found your space to dominate. We know where you're going to be the authority. People are going crazy for your products. You need to make sure when they're flying off the shelf that you're making as much profit as possible so that you can truly capitalize on this launch. So we need to maximize your profit channels.
Okay. And then step 3. So I actually have step 3 for. Yeah. So 3 is turn competitors into collaborators in your biggest profit stream. But again, that's also really confusing for people who don't get it now that I think about it. So find your space to dominate, max your profit channel. So this one is this step 3 or this phase 3 is all about how we get traffic, like hyper targeted, high quality traffic by leveraging other people's audiences, like finding alignment with and then leveraging other people's audiences. It's the best possible traffic you can get. So it's kind of like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Find your promotion allies. Or promotion.
That's great. Allies. That actually ties well. I like allies.
Okay.
Then that gets like we can use a little bit of the military metaphors. That's always good.
Go. Yeah. All right. So you got to find your promotion allies to do the work for you. If we're launching, we don't have a big list. We got to go somewhere else for the.
Let me ask you this, Kyle. Now that I'm thinking about the allies thing, and I was thinking about the military, it's like I could take step 1 into finding your beachhead or something like that. Like, is there?
So that's yeah. That's a good question.
Tell me how clever can I get, or where's the point where it goes from clever to stupid? So
you always want to start in your audience's language and finish in your language. So you could say, I'm going to teach you how to establish a beachhead, or you're going to say like, I'm going to teach you how to have a launch that's maximally profitable. And to do that, back in the Marines, we always talked about establishing a beachhead. And that means we arrive from the sea, we get up and we establish ourselves in a difficult situation. We're at a disadvantage in the water and on the beach. But once we're set up, we've got our beachhead, then we can begin to move in. And this is where my training really came in handy. And so by like telling us kind of, and then bringing into the metaphors, that's going to work better for you. Oops. So what was step 4 for you?
Literally launch, but it'll be like make a profitable launch. But that, now that I think about that in this context, like that's the whole thing is that, but that is what it would be, is like actually the launch itself, and profiting from the launch. So,
launch. And then how about, I bet there's some kind of like
scale or grow.
Yeah. Or like, the follow through. How about, or there's probably something like recover, rebound, missed opportunities. This could be, I'm sure you have maybe a checklist of like, okay, well, this promotion partner didn't want to work with us, but let me follow up with him and be like, hey, we made $10 million on this launch. So, but I'm willing, like, if you want to do the replay to your audience, because it's like, it's obviously hot, it's going to work for you too. Rebounding. So with that, now we've got our 5 steps, and we could start plugging in key stories. We can start, now, like in finding your promotion allies, this is one of your most unique things. So this is where you would probably say something that nobody else is saying. You like, I believe that the only way to successfully have a business these days is by having incredible relationships with allies in your space. You have a belief. It's maybe a little bit different, maybe a little bit controversial, especially if you're like, social media is dumb and it's fake. We need real relationships if we're going to succeed. Here's how we do that. So some people are like, what? I've been doing Instagram for 3 years and I get so many coaching clients from there. I do not like you, sir. And they'll be off. And then the people who are like, yeah, I don't want to post on Instagram, or like, I really don't want to do a Facebook page. So let's do this. So yeah,
this is good.
Let's see.
The idea being, I would want to think of a story for each one of these steps that essentially like elucidates the point. So like maximize your profit channel. So then I would tell a story of a client or somebody like that who was able to maximize the profit channel, or maximize the profits by, implementing my offer stack framework or something like that, or something like that. And then find your promotion allies. Again, another example would be like how somebody else, maybe another client or something like that, who was using this and went from, 0 to, X number of partners and whatever. So am I getting at it? Okay.
Yeah. So now when you're doing that, we can jump into like, here's concrete step 3, and we can just call this allies. And then you can say, you can add your success story here. Now you have that covered, and then you can jump.
Wait, actually, to stay on this one for a second. This is really interesting. So something you're saying that nobody else is saying. So that place, I would say, you like allies are critical. Social media doesn't work, or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll just, I would rework that. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like, okay, good. So I do this for each one of the. Okay, this is really good.
You just have them. You just have them there. You don't have to. Again, you don't have to cram every one in. But once you have them there and you have them mapped out and you have them figured out, just like I don't know if this is definitely the same for you, but like once you write an article about something, you're way more able to talk about it because you've been thinking about it so long. You have it mapped out. Once you have these things in place, you actually don't need this thing as much because you've just done the work and it's locked in your brain.
Got it.
You can just be.
Well, what I love about your framework, Kyle, and your kind of your process and your system here is, it all, like, I think everything that you're saying makes sense. And I think somebody looks at it as like, yeah, that makes sense. It all makes sense. But what's special about it is that it's the things you forget. Like everybody could probably see this and be like, oh yeah, I should have stories. But I love the idea of it's like, have a story for each phase and then kind of hit some critical things in that story. And it's like that kind of stuff. So that way, when I'm talking to somebody, if they're like, yeah, no, I get all that, but it's like the launch piece I hate. Well, it's like, because like I get the allies, I got that, blah, 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 blah. On the launch piece, it's like, I hate that. Well, then if I had a story that's associated with it, that's the story I could tell for that person. Which does that make, am I kind of
exactly? So you figure out, why do you hate launches? And they're like, I hate launches because it's really stressful.
Yeah.
And then you're like, then what people, what it's about. Why is it so stressful? Because I have to keep track of so many different partners. And then you can be like, well, a lot of people, don't like launches because they have to keep track of all these partners. But with Cheryl, we started using this system, this software, Trello, and we just did that to organize it and keep everything in one place. And all of a sudden, Susan, or whoever my example name was able to keep all of her partners in line and figure it out. And it became a delight. And that was $100,000 launch.
Boom. Hire me. Okay, this is good. What else would you say to riff on this? I know we're coming up to time here, but I thought I'm glad we went through this kind of example so people could see how this could be used, like practically speaking. I'm going to download this template for sure. Actually, I already have access to it. How do people get this template? Should they go to your?
Yeah, we can. So I'll give you guys a little secret since you're here. You can go to resources.sellingwithstory.co. And this is the resource page for the book. I'd recommend you get the book to pair with these resources because it has the information. And we've got the process builder template right here. We've got a great template for audience avatars, checklist to build great lead magnets, learn which tools are the best tools for you to build your funnel. We've got design hacking training, email nurture sequences, all kinds of good stuff that follow up with Selling with Story. So this is the companion resources that are included. But again, you can get them right now by going to resources.sellingwithstory.co. You can pick up this process builder template absolutely free. Again, it works much better when it's paired with the book.
No, for 100%. I mean, yeah, I would recommend that. But obviously, people go here, go grab
Yeah,
the
you
download.
can grab it right now. Get it. Start working on it. And if anybody out there starts working on it, email me. Let me know what it is. I'd love to speak into it. I'm so excited to talk to early readers right now that are engaged, that are loving this content, that want to know more about this. I want to see your process templates.
Awesome, dude. Kyle, well, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for being the first experimental run with YouTube Live, and we got it off the ground successfully. I'm impressed. Glorious. It only took us about 5 minutes, and that's
took us a couple of minutes. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us, especially to the end of this. Thanks for sticking with us in the beginning. It's so amazing, and thank you, Tom. This is my favorite thing to do in the whole world, is just have these great conversations, learn a little bit, and be creative together.
Seriously.
So, thanks, everybody out there. You're amazing. And appreciate you. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, David. Thank you, Keena.
Terry just ordered Bluetooth headphones, but it's not Bluetooth headphones ! Terry. It's Bluetooth headphones ... So make sure you got the right one. That's awesome, man. No, I love that you're crushing it in spite of that. That's got to make it into my email this weekend. That's hilarious. I got to take a screenshot of this before it goes away.
Yeah, I mean, it's now, they said 4 to 5 business days, and it's now day 4, maybe 5.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, dude. Well, it's working. You're gonna be fine. This is gonna be
get it while it's broke, folks.
This is a long tail book.
It is a long tail book.
It's gonna be good. Awesome, dude. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Kyle. Guys, go check out the book, Selling with Story. Check out resources.thestoryengine.co?
It's resources.sellingwithstory.co or sellingwithstory.co to learn more about the book. And it's got a link to the Amazon page right there. So you can do it even if you're trying to search Bluetooth headphones and you can't find my book.
You'll see it. It's the red book.
Bluetoothheadphones.com.
There you go.
That'd
awesome.
Be a domain. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much,
everybody.
Thank you, Kyle. This is a blast, man.
Likewise.
We'll be in touch soon, okay?
Yeah.
Take care, guys.